Hello, friend. I'm glad you're here with me tonight. Take a deep breath. Let it out slowly. Feel the mattress beneath you. Feel the weight of your blankets. You are safe. You are comfortable. Tonight, we are going to talk about the world. But we are not going to talk about the world of news or the world of stress. We are going to talk about the world of wonder. We are going to look at 100 mysteries that once kept people awake with wonder or fear, and we are going to see how the earth has already solved them for us. For a very long time, humans looked at the horizon and saw things they could not explain. We saw things that looked like magic. We saw things that looked like ghosts. But as we began to understand the language of the earth, which is the language of science, we realized that there is a deep, quiet logic to everything. The world is like a giant, ancient clock. Sometimes it ticks in a way we do not expect. Sometimes it makes a sound we have never heard. But it is always working. It is always in balance. Tonight, I want you to let your mind wander through these stories. Do not try to memorize them. Do not try to study them. Just let the words wash over you like a gentle rain. Let the stories settle into your mind. As we go through these 100 solved mysteries, you will find that the world is a much friendlier place than you thought. It is a place of light and geometry and slow, ancient rhythms. We will start with the mysteries that captured the world's imagination. The ones that went viral. The ones that made people whisper about aliens or monsters. And then, we will move into the very air you are breathing right now. Let us begin our journey in the desert. Close your eyes and imagine you are standing in the middle of a place called Death Valley. It is a vast, dry land. The ground is cracked. The heat of the day has faded, and a cool, purple twilight is settling over the mountains. This is a place of silence. But in this silence, there was a mystery that lasted for nearly 100 years. It is the story of the sailing stones. On a flat, dry lake bed called Racetrack Playa, there are stones. Some are small enough to hold in your hand. Others are massive boulders weighing hundreds of pounds. And for decades, these stones did something impossible. They moved. They left long, winding tracks in the mud behind them. Some tracks were hundreds of feet long. Some were straight. Others turned at sharp, 90-degree angles. But here is the strange part. No one ever saw them move. There were no footprints around them. No tire tracks. No signs of anyone pushing them. People came from all over the world to see the tracks. They came up with wild theories. They thought perhaps the Earth's magnetic field was pulling the rocks. They thought perhaps there were strange gusts of wind that only happened when no one was looking. Some even thought the desert was haunted by the spirits of ancient travelers. But the rocks kept their secret. They moved only in the dark, only in the cold, and only when the desert was empty. Then, in 2014, the mystery was finally solved. It turns out that the answer was not magic, but a rare and beautiful piece of physics. It requires a perfect recipe. First, you need a little bit of rain to turn the dry playa into a shallow pond. Then, you need the temperature to drop at night until a thin sheet of ice forms. This ice is as thin as a pane of glass. It is called window pane ice. When the sun comes up the next morning, the ice begins to melt and crack into large, floating panels. If a light breeze blows, just a gentle morning wind, it pushes these huge sheets of floating ice. And the ice, in turn, pushes the rocks. Because the ice sheets are so large, they have enough surface area to catch the wind and move even the heaviest boulders across the slippery mud. The rocks were not sailing. They were being gently nudged by a frozen desert. When the water evaporates, the tracks remain, carved into the drying mud. It is a slow, quiet dance of stone and ice. It is the earth ice skating in the dark. Now, let us leave the dry desert and move to the deep, blue silence of the ocean. Imagine the Pacific Ocean. It is so big that you could drop all the continents of the world into it and still have room to spare. In 1997, the world heard a sound from the deep that it could not explain. Scientists called it the bloop. It was a low-frequency sound, a deep, booming groan that lasted for about a minute. It was picked up by underwater microphones that were 3,000 miles apart. To give you an idea of how loud that is, the loudest animal on Earth is the blue whale. But the bloop was much, much louder than a blue whale. It was so loud that people began to panic. If a whale did not make this sound, what did? People started talking about sea monsters. They thought about the giant creatures from old sailors' myths. They thought about things with 1,000 tentacles sleeping in the dark. For 8 years, the bloop was a symbol of the terrifying unknown. But the Earth was just shifting. Scientists kept listening, and they realized that the sound was not coming from a living creature. It was coming from the ice. Specifically, it was coming from Antarctica. When a massive iceberg, a piece of ice the size of a city, cracks and breaks off from a glacier, it creates a sound called an icequake. Because the water in the ocean is so cold and so dense, it carries that sound for thousands of miles. The bloop was just the sound of a giant iceberg finding its way into the sea. It was the sound of the planet changing its shape. The ocean is not full of monsters. It is just full of moving mountains of ice, cracking and groaning as they settle into the water. While we are thinking about the ocean, let us think about history. Sometimes, the earth hides things in the sand and the salt to keep them safe for us. In the year 1900, some divers were looking for sponges off the coast of a small Greek island called Antikythera. They found a shipwreck. And inside that shipwreck, they found a lump of green, rusted bronze. It looked like a piece of junk. It looked like something you would throw away. But when it dried out and began to crack, the divers saw something that should not have existed. They saw gears. They saw teeth. They saw dials. This was the Antikythera mechanism. For 100 years, it baffled the greatest minds in the world. How could people 2,000 years ago build something with gears this complex? It was more advanced than any clock made for the next 1,500 years. Some people said it was an alien artifact. They said it was a gift from a more advanced civilization. But we used technology to look inside. We used X-rays. We used 3D scans. And we found that it was not alien. It was human. It was the world's first computer. It was a device used to track the stars. By turning a small handle, an ancient astronomer could see exactly where the sun, the moon, and the planets would be on any day of the year. It could even predict eclipses decades in advance. It shows us that our ancestors were not just farmers and warriors. They were dreamers. They were mathematicians. They looked at the same stars you see tonight and they built a machine to understand them. The mystery was not who made it, but how much we had forgotten about our own brilliance. Sometimes, a mystery is not about what we find, but what we lose. Think about the story of the Mary Celeste. It is perhaps the most famous ghost ship in history. In 1872, this ship was found drifting in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. It was in perfect condition. The sails were up. There was plenty of food and water. The crew's clothes were still in their trunks. But every single person was gone. The captain, his family, and the sailors. They vanished into thin air. For over a century, people used this story to scare children. They talked about giant squids pulling people off the deck. They talked about pirates. They talked about the Bermuda Triangle. But when scientists looked at the cargo list, they found a clue. The ship was carrying 1,700 barrels of industrial alcohol. Using modern computer models, researchers found that some of those barrels had likely leaked. Imagine you are the captain. You hear a strange, low rumbling coming from the hold. You smell a sharp, chemical scent. You see a blue flash of flame that does not leave a mark, but makes a terrifying sound. This is what happens when alcohol fumes ignite. It does not burn the wood, but it creates a pressure wave. The captain, fearing the ship was about to explode, ordered everyone into a small lifeboat to wait. But they did not tie the rope properly. The wind caught the Mary Celeste, and she sailed away, leaving her crew behind in the vast, empty ocean. It was a tragedy, yes. But it was a human tragedy. It was a moment of panic caused by chemistry. The ocean did not take them. A misunderstanding of the world did. Now, look at your hands. Or look at a ring on your finger. If you see gold, you are looking at one of the greatest solved mysteries of our solar system. For a long time, we did not know where gold came from. We knew it was in the earth, but we also knew the earth could not make it. To make a single atom of gold, you need more heat and pressure than a volcano or even the center of the earth can provide. So how did it get here? The answer is found in the stars. Specifically, in the death of stars. When two neutron stars, which are the collapsed cores of giant suns, crash into each other, the explosion is so violent that it creates new elements. It creates gold. Billions of years ago, a star crash happened near our corner of space. It showered the universe in gold dust. When the Earth was forming, that dust became part of our planet. Every piece of gold you have ever seen was forged in a cosmic explosion that happened before the world even existed. You are wearing a piece of a dead star. It is a beautiful thought, is it not? That something so common as a piece of jewelry is actually a relic of a celestial fire.